The massive crystal chamber of the Galactic Council sparkled under the light of three suns, casting rainbow patterns across the worried faces of the gathered representatives. At the center of the round table, High Counselor Blue adjusted his ceremonial robes and cleared his throat. His gray skin had a sickly tinge to it, showing the stress of the past few months. "The humans must be stopped," he declared, his voice echoing off the crystalline walls. "Their progress is too rapid, too dangerous. In just 50 years since they achieved faster-than-light travel, they've colonized 17 worlds. Their military capabilities grow daily." Around the table, representatives from 30 different species nodded in agreement. The human problem had been growing worse by the day. Ambassador Green, with her characteristic four arms crossed over her chest, spoke up. "Our diplomatic efforts have failed. They refuse to slow their expansion or share their military advances. They're worse than we thought," added Representative White, his antennae twitching nervously. "Our spies report they've developed shields that can withstand our strongest weapons. And their ships, they're building them faster than any civilization we've ever encountered." High Counselor Blue tapped a crystal on the table, and a holographic display appeared above them. It showed Earth's rapidly expanding territory, marked in red against the backdrop of Galactic Council space. "We cannot allow this to continue. Traditional warfare would be noticed. It would cause panic across the galaxy. We need a quieter solution." The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant, but none wanted to be the first to suggest it. Finally, Ambassador Black, known for handling the Council's darker dealings, stepped forward from the shadows. "I know someone," she said softly. "The Silent Shadows. They've never failed a contract in 3,000 years." Murmurs filled the chamber. The Silent Shadows weren't just assassins. They were living legends. Their agents had toppled empires, ended dynasties, and changed the course of galactic history dozens of times. Most believed they were just myths. "The cost," High Counselor Blue began, "will be less than a war," Ambassador Black finished. She pulled out a small black crystal and placed it on the table. "One communication. That's all it takes. They'll handle everything else." The council members looked at each other. What they were considering went against every law they'd written, every principle they claimed to uphold. But fear of humanity's rapid rise outweighed their moral concerns. "Do it," High Counselor Blue ordered. Ambassador Black picked up the crystal and whispered into it. The crystal glowed briefly, then went dark. "It's done," she said. "The Silent Shadows will send their best." What happened next surprised everyone. Within minutes, the chamber's lights flickered. A figure simply appeared in the center of the room, as if they'd always been there. Tall, wrapped in what looked like flowing shadows, the being bowed slightly. "The Silent Shadows accept your contract," the figure said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Our fee has already been transferred from your secret accounts. We will eliminate Earth's leadership structure within one standard month." How did you access our accounts?" stammered Representative White. The figure's laugh was like ice cracking. "If we can't access a simple banking system, how could you trust us to eliminate the leaders of the most rapidly advancing species in the galaxy?" Before anyone could respond, the figure vanished. Not in a flash, or with any movement. They simply ceased to be there. The council members sat in stunned silence. High Counselor Blue finally spoke, his voice shaky. "What have we done?" Ambassador Black smiled thinly. "We've solved our human problem. In 1 month, Earth's leadership will be in chaos. Their expansion will stop. Their military advancement will cease, and no one will ever know we were involved." As the council members filed out of the chamber, none of them noticed the small, blinking light under the table. A human-made recording device had captured everything. The first shot in this shadow war had already been fired, and the council had no idea they'd already lost. The whisper moved like smoke through Earth's defense ministry. At least, that's how it should have been. Instead, the legendary assassin found themselves constantly checking their stealth field generator. Something felt wrong. The building looked simple enough from the outside, a 30-story structure in New Washington that should have been easy to infiltrate. The Whisper had broken into quantum-locked vaults and royal palaces across the galaxy. This should have been routine, but it wasn't. First, their advanced scanning equipment had failed to show any security patterns. That never happened. Every building had patterns, guard rotations, sensor sweeps, cleaning drone schedules. This building showed nothing, just random movement that made no sense. The Whisper pressed against a wall as two janitors walked past, pushing their cleaning carts. The assassin's stealth field should have made them completely invisible, yet one of the janitors looked directly at their position for a moment too long before moving on. Impossible, the Whisper whispered to themselves. Their technology was perfect. No species had ever detected them before. Yet that janitor had sensed something. Moving through the ventilation system, the Whisper checked their target's location again. Defense Minister Jones should be in his office on the 25th floor. Simple, clean. One shot with an untraceable toxin, and the job would be done. The assassin froze. There was something wrong with the airflow. In 3,000 years of missions, they'd never felt anything like it. The ventilation shaft seemed to be pulsing. That wasn't normal. A slight hiss made the Whisper turn their head. Their eyes widened behind their mask as they saw small vents opening along the shaft walls. Their sensors suddenly screamed a warning. The air was being replaced with an inert gas. Clever, the Whisper thought, quickly injecting themselves with an oxygen supplement. But not clever enough. That's when they noticed the second thing. The shaft's metal had changed temperature, not gradually, as it should with normal heating or cooling, but in specific patterns, almost like. The Whisper's eyes widened. They're scanning me, they realized. But how? This technology shouldn't exist yet. There was no time to wonder. The assassin needed to move. They began crawling toward the nearest exit point, but their movements felt sluggish. The oxygen supplement wasn't working properly. Something in the gas was interfering with it. Security team to Shaft 7B. A calm voice echoed through hidden speakers. Our guest is getting tired. The Whisper tried to reach for their emergency teleporter. Their fingers felt numb. The last thing the galaxy's greatest assassin saw was a section of the shaft wall sliding open, revealing a simple security team wearing basic body armor and carrying what looked like primitive projectile weapons. Don't feel bad, one of the security officers said, looking down at the now unconscious assassin. You're the 7th one this month to try the vents. We've gotten pretty good at this. In the security control room, Defense Minister Jones watched the scene play out on multiple screens. He sipped his coffee calmly as his security chief, Officer Smith, gave his report. Same as the others. Sir, advanced tech, but they all follow predictable patterns. They always go for the vents. Jones nodded. Any species advanced enough to build starships tends to forget the basics. They rely too much on their technology. He pointed to one of the screens showing the captured assassin. Look at that stealth suit. Probably cost more than this building. Yet it was defeated by simple temperature sensors and pattern recognition software. Should we tell the council about this one? Sir, Smith asked. No, Jones smiled. Let them keep sending them. Each attempt teaches us more about their methods. Besides, he gestured to a wall covered in captured alien weapons and devices. Our research teams are having a field day studying all this advanced technology they keep bringing us. In the medical bay, doctors began their examination of the Whisper, adding another set of data to humanity's growing understanding of galactic assassination techniques. The Silent Shadow had failed its mission, but more importantly, it had taught humanity even more about their enemies. The game was just beginning. Space Station Freedom spun slowly against the backdrop of Earth, its massive solar panels glinting in the sunlight. To most observers, it looked like any other busy space station. ships coming and going, maintenance crews working on the outer hull, and regular shuttle traffic moving supplies and personnel. But today, the station was a hunting ground. Or at least, that's what the three assassins of the Silent Shadows thought as they approached in their stealth ship. Primary target confirmed. Red Leader whispered into their neural comm. Station Commander Thomas is in the central hub. Security looked standard. The assassins' multi-million credit scanning equipment showed nothing unusual about the station's defenses. "Too standard," Red 2 replied, checking their weapons. "After our last two failures, something feels wrong." Red 3, the youngest but most technologically advanced of the team, finished hacking what they thought was the station's communication system. "I've got control of their internal comms. They won't know what hit them." Inside the station's real security center, Lieutenant Wilson watched the assassin's ship on special sensors designed specifically to detect stealth technology. "Sir, they're using the fake comm network we set up. Should we proceed with the plan?" Commander Thomas nodded, sipping his coffee. "Let them think they're in control. Have teams Alpha through Delta in position." "Yes, sir. All airlocks are rigged. Training drill protocols are in effect. Everyone knows their role." The three assassins docked their ship at a maintenance airlock, their advanced hacking tools making quick work of what appeared to be simple security systems. They moved through the station's corridors like ghosts, their stealth fields making them invisible to normal eyes. "This is too easy," Red 2 complained. "Where are the advanced defenses we were warned about?" They reached a junction where the corridors split into three paths. According to their intel, all paths led to the central hub where their target waited. "Split up," Red Leader ordered. "Triple our chances of success." As soon as they separated, klaxons blared throughout the station. A calm voice announced, "Beginning emergency zero-gravity drill. All personnel secure positions. Gravity disengaging in 3, 2, 1. The artificial gravity switched off. The assassins, caught off guard, activated their magnetic boots, standard equipment for space operations. That was their second mistake. Their first had been splitting up. Red Leader suddenly found themselves facing a group of maintenance workers, except these workers were moving through zero gravity with practiced ease, using handholds and momentum in ways the assassin had never seen. "Welcome to freedom," one worker said, pushing off a wall and spinning gracefully. "We practice this drill 3 times a week." Red 2's corridor suddenly sealed at both ends. The air began to vent, but not completely. It created a swirling vortex, a miniature cyclone in zero gravity that their magnetic boots made impossible to navigate. Red 3 had the worst luck. They emerged into what looked like a cargo bay, only to find themselves in the middle of what appeared to be a zero-gravity combat training session. 30 station security officers, all moving like they were born in space, surrounded the assassin. "You folks rely too much on fancy tech," one officer said, drifting casually past. "We just train. A lot." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 5 minutes. Red Leader's stealth field failed against simple powder dispersed by the maintenance crew, marking their position. Red 2 passed out from dizziness as the air currents intensified. Red 3's advanced combat systems proved useless against opponents who understood zero-gravity combat as naturally as breathing. Back in the security center, Commander Thomas watched the cleanup operation. "Report. All 3 captured, sir. Minimal damage to station facilities. Teams performed exactly as trained." Thomas nodded. "Send the usual message to the council. And get our research teams ready. Looks like we got some new alien tech to study." As station operations returned to normal, the 3 legendary assassins found themselves in custody, their equipment being carefully documented and analyzed. They had come hunting humans, only to discover that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was their ability to turn any environment into their own playground. The Silent Shadows were starting to learn a hard lesson. Humans didn't need fancy technology to be deadly. They just needed practice. The Silent Shadows Guildmaster stood before 5 shadowy figures in their hidden base, deep within an asteroid. These were the elite, assassins who had ended empires and changed the fate of galaxies. Each had completed over 100 missions without failure. The humans have captured or killed all our previous operatives. The Guildmaster's voice echoed in the dark chamber. You are our best. Your mission: eliminate Earth's entire defense council in one night. The 5 assassins, each marked by a color-coded holographic band, acknowledged the order. They had studied the previous failures carefully. They would not make the same mistakes. Gold would take the defense minister. Silver had the intelligence chief. Bronze targeted the space fleet admiral. Iron would eliminate the ground forces general. And Lead, the most experienced, would handle the council chairman. Their plan was perfect. They would strike simultaneously, using 5 different methods. Surely the humans couldn't counter everything at once. They were wrong. Gold found the defense minister's house completely ordinary. A simple 2-story building in the suburbs. No visible security, no force fields, not even a fence. Their scanners showed only basic alarm systems. Gold disabled the alarms and slipped inside, moving toward the master bedroom. They froze. Something was wrong. The air smelled different. The roses, a voice said from the darkness. My wife loves gardening. Different flowers have different smells. When you came in, you changed the air pattern. Lights flashed on. The defense minister stood there in simple pajamas, holding what looked like a primitive metal tube. We learned this trick from police dogs. Amazing what you can notice when you pay attention to the basics. Silver's mission went wrong even faster. They had planned to poison the intelligence chief's morning coffee at her favorite cafe. Simple, untraceable. Interesting choice, the chief said, suddenly sitting across from Silver at their observation post. But I switched to tea last week. Amazing how many assassins target my coffee. Want a cup? Bronze thought they had the perfect plan to eliminate the admiral, a small explosive in his private shuttle. They spent hours carefully planting it, only to find themselves locked in the shuttle as it autopiloted to a secure facility. 4th attempt this month. The admiral's voice came through the speakers. We really should install better locks. But then how would we catch you all? Iron's attempt to snipe the general during his morning jog was thwarted by something so simple it was embarrassing. The general's running route changed randomly every day, following no pattern. After 3 days of waiting, Iron realized they had been set up. The park was surrounded. Running is great exercise, the general said through a megaphone. Especially when you're being watched. Want to join me next time? But Lead's failure was the most spectacular. They had infiltrated the council chairman's office using their most advanced tech. Everything went perfectly until they tried to strike. Their killing blow passed right through the chairman. A hologram. Sorry, the real chairman said from behind them. I haven't actually worked in that office for years. Too obvious a target. He was eating a sandwich, watching Lead with mild interest. Want one? It's tuna. Within 6 hours of starting their mission, all 5 legendary assassins had been captured. None of their sophisticated methods had worked. No technological advantage had helped. Each had been defeated by simple, almost primitive countermeasures. In the secure facility where they were held, the 5 assassins listened as the Defense Council members gathered to meet them. We should thank you, the chairman said cheerfully. Each assassination attempt teaches us something new. We've gotten quite good at this. The defense minister nodded. Your technology is impressive, but you rely on it too much. Humans, we rely on observation, adaptation, and sometimes, he smiled, just plain common sense. The intelligence chief added, did you really think we wouldn't notice the pattern after the first few attempts? We've been preparing for assassins since before we had electricity. As the 5 greatest assassins in the galaxy sat in their cells, they began to understand a fundamental truth. They had never faced a species that treated assassination attempts as training exercises. The humans weren't just surviving their attempts. They were learning from them. In the Guild Master's private chamber, screens displayed data from every failed assassination attempt. 15 of the galaxy's best assassins captured, billions in equipment lost, and not a single human target eliminated. Impossible, the Guild Master whispered, their crystalline form shifting colors with stress. Show me the pattern analysis again. The holographic display flickered, showing centuries of human history. Wars, conflicts, political murders, and countless assassination attempts filled the screen. But something was different about this data. It wasn't from their current mission. This was Earth's history before they even reached space. Master, the Guild's chief analyst stepped forward. I believe we've discovered why we're failing. The humans, they're not just ready for us. They've been ready for thousands of years. The display zoomed in on various historical figures, leaders, politicians, and rulers who had survived countless attempts on their lives. Each survival had led to better security measures, new detection methods, and innovative countermeasures. They evolved as pursuit predators, the analyst continued, bringing up biological data. Their entire nervous system is designed to notice things that seem wrong in their environment. A smell that's slightly off, a shadow that doesn't move quite right, a sound that doesn't belong. The Guild Master watched as the display showed human security footage. A guard stopping suddenly, seeming to sense something wrong before an assassin revealed themselves. A secretary noticing an out-of-place coffee cup. A driver changing routes based on a gut feeling. But that's not the worst part, the analyst said, their voice trembling. Look at this. New data appeared, detailed reports of each failed assassination attempt, guard patrol patterns that made no sense until viewed as traps, security systems that seemed primitive but were perfectly designed to catch overconfident assassins, building layouts that channeled intruders into capture zones. They've been baiting us, the Guild Master realized, their color draining to a pale blue. Every target, every security weakness, they're all traps. Yes, Master. Human security isn't just reactive, it's proactive. They don't just defend against assassination attempts. They plan for them. They train for them. The analyst hesitated. They enjoy them. The screen showed training exercises where human security forces practiced against simulated assassination attempts. They weren't just preparing for defense, they were treating each real attempt as a chance to test their skills and learn new techniques. Their entire species, the analyst continued, treats survival as a game they've been playing for millennia. Each failed attempt makes them stronger. They learn from every mistake, both theirs and their attackers. The Guild Master accessed the latest report. A human child had spotted one of their best stealth operatives because the assassin's clothing looked funny in the rain. A janitor had caught another because the air freshener smell was not quite right. Show me their detection methods, the Guild Master demanded. The list that appeared was shocking in its simplicity. Changes in air pressure from stealth field generators, subtle temperature differences from cloaking devices, displacement of dust by invisible operatives, irregularities in background noise, unexpected smells or lack of smells, gut feelings based on subconscious pattern recognition. They don't rely on advanced technology, the analyst explained. They turn their own evolution, their instincts as predators and prey, into a defense system more effective than any we've encountered. The Guild Master studied one final piece of data, a message intercepted from Earth's Defense Council. It was a training memo, treating each assassination attempt as a security drill, complete with performance evaluations and lessons learned. We've made a terrible mistake, the Guild Master said finally. We thought we were hunting them, but they've been hunting us. Every failed attempt, every captured assassin, every piece of technology we've lost. It's all made them stronger. The analyst nodded grimly. There's more, Master. We've detected increased human activity near several of our safe houses. They're not just defending anymore. They're "They're coming for us," the guild master finished. "And thanks to our attempts, they know exactly how we operate." For the first time in 3,000 years, the silent shadows felt fear. They had finally met a species that didn't just survive assassination attempts. They turned them into training opportunities. The hunters had become the hunted. The shadows stood atop a skyscraper in New Washington, watching the presidential convoy approach. In 3,000 years, no one had ever seen the shadows' true form. Even the guild master knew them only as a success rate, 100%. Now, they were the silent shadows' last hope. The final assassin, the one who had never failed. The target was simple: Earth's President Walker. The mission was anything but. The shadow had studied every failed attempt. They wouldn't make the same mistakes. No high-tech stealth fields. Humans could sense those. No advanced weapons. Humans could detect them. Instead, they would use the simplest method possible. Sometimes, the oldest ways were the best. The convoy stopped at a local market. This was the opportunity. The president enjoyed surprising ordinary citizens with these unscheduled stops, meeting people, buying local food. The perfect target. The shadow moved through the crowd, looking like any other human in their disguise. Their plan was perfect. A simple needle, a common poison, a casual bump in the crowd. No technology to detect. No pattern to analyze. Pure simplicity. 20 feet from the target, the shadow observed the security detail. They were good, watching the crowd, but they weren't watching for the right things. The assassin had studied human behavior for weeks to match their movements perfectly. 15 feet, a mother with 2 children passed between the shadow and their target. Perfect cover. 10 feet, one of the security guards looked their way, then looked away. The disguise was working. 5 feet, the shadow prepared the needle. "Excuse me," a voice said behind them. "Would you like to try our special today?" The shadow turned. An old man at a food stall was holding out a sample of something on a stick. A common scene in the market. Nothing suspicious. But the shadow was trained to notice everything. And something was wrong. The food vendor's hands. They were too steady for his age. His stance was too balanced. And his eyes. His eyes were those of a hunter. Before the shadow could react, they felt multiple needles, real ones, pierce their neck from behind. Their perfect disguise had failed them. "You almost had us," the food vendor said, his gentle smile unchanged. "If you hadn't turned down 3 other food samples before mine, you would have seemed more natural. Regular customers try everything here." The shadow tried to reach for their backup poison, but their limbs wouldn't move. Around them, ordinary market-goers transformed into security personnel. The mother with 2 children, the teenage couple taking selfies, the lost tourist checking his map. All agents. "The thing about humans," President Walker said, walking up to the now paralyzed shadow, "is that we're really good at spotting things that don't fit. A person who doesn't eat in a food market. That's just not natural." The shadow, legendary assassin, terror of 1,000 worlds, had been undone by a simple food sample. "Want to know where you really went wrong?" the old vendor asked, now standing with the practiced ease of a combat veteran. "You study our security forces, our technology, our defenses, but you didn't study our culture. No true local would pass up free samples at Joe's stand. I've been here 30 years. As security teams secured the area, the president looked down at the silent shadow's greatest assassin. "You know what's really impressive? Joe actually spotted you. Not our facial recognition, not our behavior analysis software, not our security teams. Joe called it in because, in his words, something didn't feel right about that one." The shadow finally understood. They had crafted the perfect technical approach, planned for every security measure, prepared for every official response. But they hadn't prepared for a street vendor who knew his regular customers. "Take our friend to the usual place," the president ordered. "And Joe, great work, as always." "Just doing my job, Mr. President," Joe smiled. Now you still gonna try today's special. It's really good." As the shadow was led away, they heard the president laughing and chatting with the vendor about food recipes. The greatest assassin in galactic history had been caught not by advanced technology or brilliant strategy, but by ignoring the simple human habit of enjoying free food samples. Sometimes the simplest traps were the best ones. The Galactic Council chamber was silent as the final report appeared on their screens. One by one, each council member read the document with growing disbelief. High Counselor Blue's hands trembled as he reached the last page. Every assassin was being returned. All of them. Alive. But that wasn't what made the council members nervous. It was the detailed report accompanying each captured assassin. Complete breakdowns of their methods, technologies, and failures. The humans weren't just returning their attackers. They were sending a message. They knew, Ambassador Green whispered, all four hands clutching her chair. They knew about everything from the beginning. The chamber's main display activated, showing Earth's Defense Minister Jones. He looked relaxed, almost amused. Behind him stood rows of display cases containing captured assassin equipment, each item carefully labeled and cataloged. "Good morning, council members," Jones said cheerfully. "I trust you've received our package. We thought it was time to return your operatives. They've been most helpful in our training programs." High Counselor Blue tried to maintain his dignity. "We don't know what you're talking about. These accusations." "Please," Jones interrupted, still smiling. "We recorded your original meeting. The one where you hired the Silent Shadows. I believe it was Ambassador Black who made the actual call, though she seems to be absent today." The council members looked at Ambassador Black's empty seat. None of them had noticed her missing. "She's fine," Jones assured them. "She's currently enjoying coffee with our intelligence chief. They're having a fascinating discussion about hidden accounts and secret contracts." Representative White's antennae drooped. How long have you known?" "From the beginning," Jones replied. "Did you really think we wouldn't have the council chamber under surveillance? Humanity learned long ago to watch our potential enemies, especially the ones who smile to our faces." The display shifted, showing images of each failed assassination attempt. The whisper in the ventilation shaft. The 3 assassins on Space Station Freedom. The elite squad's simultaneous failures. The Shadow's capture in the market. "We want to thank you," Jones continued. "Your assassins have provided invaluable training opportunities for our security forces. Their equipment has advanced our technology by decades. And most importantly, they've helped us identify our friends and enemies in the council." The chamber erupted in nervous whispers. Jones waited patiently for them to quiet down. "So here's what's going to happen," he said. "We're returning your assassins. They're all in good health, though some are a bit embarrassed. We're keeping their equipment as payment for our training services." "Training services?" High Counselor Blue sputtered. "Of course. You've provided us with the galaxy's best assassins to train against. That kind of experience is valuable. Consider the equipment fair payment." Jones's smile faded slightly. "We're also providing you with detailed reports of how each assassination attempt failed. Consider it a professional courtesy and a warning. Humanity doesn't appreciate shadow games." The display showed one final image, Earth's rapidly expanding territory, but now it included several former council worlds that had apparently switched allegiance. "Your failed assassination attempts have convinced several of your member worlds that humanity might be a better ally than the council," Jones explained. "They appreciate our direct approach. No hidden daggers, no shadow games. Just honest strength and reliable friendship." High Counselor Blue slumped in his chair. "What do you want from us?" "Want? Nothing. This was just a courtesy call to let you know your assassins are coming home. Oh, and to inform you that humanity is now accepting applications for new alliance partners. Several of your members have already applied." The display went dark, leaving the council in stunned silence. On a nearby table, a small device blinked twice and disappeared. Another human surveillance device, letting them know that even now they were being watched. In his office on Earth, Defense Minister Jones turned to Intelligence Chief Taylor. "Do you think they got the message?" If they didn't, Taylor smiled, holding up a cup of excellent coffee brought by Ambassador Black. "I'm sure we can arrange another training exercise. After all, practice makes perfect." The age of galactic shadow games was over. The era of human diplomacy, backed by extremely well-trained security forces, had begun.